Hi, all. I'm Cullen Haynes, and welcome to Law Live. 2 in 1 week, you lucky people. You're very lucky. We got episode 52 today, and I'm about to bring you one of my dear friends and a true behemoth in the wills and estates planning space in the law industry, founder of C Legal, and has been in the legal game for the last 10 years and is also a fashionista of the highest level. And we'll get into that very soon. Can you please make very welcome the one, the only Claire Stiles. How are you, Claire? What's happening?
Hi, Cullen. Hi. It's so good to be on the show. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you on the show. And forgive me, I've got to press go live on Instagram Live. Okay, we're live now. So everyone, not only LinkedIn, but everyone's joining. So I was telling Claire offline, we are streaming live Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, and Instagram. So if you have any burning questions for Claire, it is 4:32. Please put them in the comments and we will address them as much as we can. But the first question on everyone's lips, Claire, what is happening in your circle of influence?
Oh, goodness. Well, 2024 has started with a bang, and I'm absolutely loving the energy this year from all of the people that are in my circle, and all of the networking that just has been started. It started strong. We're busy, and just really enjoying this fresh energy that 2024 is bringing us.
It is a great energy, isn't it? So I don't know what it is, but I've been speaking to my legal clients. It's the same in property and finance. It's the same. I think there's a renewed energy of 2024. So everyone's got a heightened outlook, which is great.
Yeah, I think everybody really took the break seriously this year. I think people got to go away. It was kind of the first year post all of the restrictions that we really felt that people had been booking things. And and I think a lot of people took a good chunk of time off to reset, which is always so good, especially people in business. We need that. We need that time to reset, recharge, so we can hit the ground running.
I think so. And people, I'm still got out of offices. I think a lot of partners and barristers, especially that I'm seeing, they don't come back until after Australia Day. Let's be honest.
No,
I've got out of offices until
open.
Yeah, it's up until the 30th of January is when they're mostly coming back. But I love to ask you this question. You've had over 10 years in law, and I know the start was quite challenging for you. So I'd love to know, how would you explain your life using just film titles?
Well, I'm going to go super cliche, and it probably doesn't explain my life, but I always just hope that it is Legally Blonde, because I do feel like, Elwood really did inspire not just me, but a whole cohort of us. And I do feel like there's a little bit of Legally Blonde in there, which I channel as much as I can. So that's the title that came to mind, but also maybe Catch Me If You Can, because I'm always on the go. But look, I'm doing things legally, unlike the star of that show. But I probably would say those two really stand out for me.
I love that. I object. And Frank William Abagnale from Catch Me If You Can. I think that's fantastic. And I'll put those up there so everyone knows this is what Claire said resembles her life so far. So Legally Blonde and Catch Me If You Can. And I'd love to delve into many people, and I'm seeing it a lot on Lawyers Weekly and whatnot, had challenging times in law. You certainly did. I'm wondering if you're opening to share how you thrived at your start when you started as a lawyer.
I don't think I thrived. I barely survived, Cullen. I was a baby lawyer in a very white male dominated firm. I actually started my career. I graduated Bond University and then moved straight over to Canada. And I was working in a very small, like I said, very old white law firm, and it was really hard. It was challenging. And I would say I definitely did not thrive. I did not have any real support system within the legal community. I had my personal support community, but I did not have a legal support community. And I think that's something that is so important for young lawyers, to reach out to people that they're inspired by, or seek that mentorship, because if you are in a place where you're not thriving as a baby lawyer, you may not make it, because it's hard. So that was my experience. And that was that was about 12 years ago. And so It's definitely changed, but there still is some people out there that I know do still struggle. And for me, I did not thrive. It took me a couple of years of, you get your paper back and there's all red marks on it, and you're a baby lawyer, so you think, oh, you've just finished law school and you think you're pretty good, and you go into this position and actually you're not that good at all. And so that really takes a hit on your ego. But there was such great, even though it wasn't really thriving, I look back at it now and I think to myself, if I didn't have that start, I probably wouldn't have the tenacity that I have now, and
Yes.
the foundation that firm really provided for me, and how hard it was, really gave me the backbone that I needed to just, really succeed.
No, I'm endeared by what you're saying. I think you actually said in one of our conversations, there was a partner there, one of the older ones, that didn't talk to you for like a couple of years until you started to come out of your shell, start to really bring in work and do good business. And then they became a close friend and ally for you.
That's right. So it was 2 years. He would walk past my desk every day and just no acknowledgement. And as I probably brought more work into the firm, and they could see that I was an asset to the firm, then the dialogue started happening, and he then took me under his wing and got some great experience under him. But those couple of years of somebody just kind of pretty much ignoring you definitely can take a hit on just your personality, and you have insecurities and it highlights those insecurities. So it's a really important, like I said, to have people around you to build you up in those times, because even though, yes, at the end we ended up being it was a great mentorship for me, and we're actually good friends. We ended up at a Coldplay concert together, which was hilarious. So it goes from one extreme to another, but I think there's a real grit that you learn as a baby lawyer, that you do need to learn to succeed in the industry, because it's not an easy profession.
No. Quite hard indeed. And it does require tenacity like yourself. So would your feedback be stick in there, stick with it?
So I had somebody tell me, which was great advice at the time, probably like the first year in, I was struggling, and I did have one great younger lawyer, a few years ahead of me at the time, and we would go for coffee a lot, and he just said, look, the advice that was given to me was give it 5 years.
Okay.
You've done all your study, give it 5 years, and if you hate it after 5 years, then maybe consider something else. Now, 5 years I think is a bit of a stretch, because that's a big time if you're really hating life, and I'm all about living your best life and making change when you're not happy. Sometimes you do need to stay the course depending on what your goals are. But I do think if you're truly finding it too challenging, or maybe it's different to what you expected and it doesn't really suit your personality, then I think what happens is, and what I wish I did, was more of a reflection earlier on as to my value system, the way that I wanted to live my life. What does my dream day-to-day look like, and kind of work backwards from there. And I wish I had done that sooner.
I see. So in reflection, maybe the 5 years is a bit too long, but at least you did reflect and you said, you know what, I can do this. And you've got another big challenge and opportunity that you've been working on. I'd love to talk about life after the Big D podcast that you're launching, or already underway.
It is underway, currently recording. So what it is I am the host of Life After the Big D, which is not to do with law. So it's a complete passion project of mine, and it's all about life after divorce from my point of view. I'm divorced, single, in my 30s, no kids, financially independent, living my best life, finding 100% who I am. And I just want to share that with the world, and share lessons that I've learned in self-worth and confidence and your value systems, and like really living up to those value systems that you want to put in place. And sometimes that's making decisions that, aren't actually fun, or there might be decisions that, in the moment may be fun, but they're not actually aligning with where you want to be. And so that's what Life After the Big D is all about. It's going to be a podcast about life and love and really finding your why and your purpose in life.
Fantastic. And when do you think the first episode will be dropping?
Oh, I'm thinking it's going to be end of Feb, early March. So yeah, it's coming, guys. So if you're not following yet, please follow along on Instagram. We've got the page up and running. And so I'm just sharing a few little insights there as I prepare to launch.
That's so exciting. And was it scary launching a podcast or putting yourself out there like that?
100%. Totally. Like it's very open and vulnerable. So it is definitely scary. But, I love the quote with get comfortable with being uncomfortable because, we all just will stay stagnant if we don't embrace change. And I think when we embrace change and opportunities and be open and vulnerable, I think only good can come from that. And, you'll always have those people that, will love you and the people that don't. And that's okay. It's not going to be for everyone.
You can't have everyone like you. And if you do, you're probably doing it wrong. You have to ruffle some feathers, as they say.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait.
Oh, very good, very good. And speaking of making a splash, ruffling feathers and whatnot, you recently took out 2023 Soul Prac of the Year with the Lawyers Weekly, my friends William McGee and Jerome from the Momentum Media. How did you feel about that day?
I was not expecting to win. So first and foremost, I just went in there so excited to see all my friends that were there. We had people interstate. It was in Melbourne. The community of the women in law, the whole community is just amazing. And I think in my sole practitioner journey, it's actually the community of lawyers and the community of their web of influence that has really supported me and built me up. And I've been so surprised by that. But winning the award was so exciting. Totally not expected, but obviously very, very elated by it. And, the great thing about that night was there were speeches. So some awards don't have speeches. Whereas this one did. And I had no idea. I wasn't prepared. So I just got up there and told everyone how shit it is sometimes being a sole practitioner because it's really difficult and it's really hard, but it's also very rewarding. And, just spoke from the heart and really just, said exactly how I felt and, encourage the other sole practitioners out there as well, because really at the end of the day, that journey can be quite a lonely journey. So to really connect with your peers and to connect with people of influence that you look up to, I think is so important to succeed.
Very well said. Very well said. And I think it's a great platform, especially the women in law, everyone coming together. It's all about elevating up. You can have two buildings in the world. I got told this very early. You can focus on building yours up or you can tear others down. And I think you are the former, that you're concentrating on building yours up, which I think is fantastic. So well done, Claire.
Thank you.
Testament to you. My pleasure. But obviously estate planning is your bread and butter. That's what you do. And obviously, people are dying to get into your to get help for you. No pun intended, or maybe pun intended. What is one thing you tell all your estate planning clients?
Just get it done. Just get it done.
Good point.
Honestly,
get it done.
Get it done. It's at the bottom of everyone's to-do list. And I get that. No one wants to talk about dying. No one wants to think about it. It's awful. But guess what? There's two certainties in life: paying taxes and death. So let's deal with them. So yeah, that's what I tell all my clients. Get it done.
We all come in with a return ticket, right?
Yeah, no, not that I know of anyway.
So no matter what age, get it done, basically.
Yeah, basically, if you've got assets and if you've got children, those two things really are your triggers to be doing your estate planning. So, for me, all of my clients are in a more complex situation. So we're doing more complex structures and things like that, and making sure there is asset protection and tax minimization built into the documents. So we get to work with some really exciting clients in that space where we're really looking at it strategically and providing that strategic advice as well as implementation.
I'll be definitely using your services, Claire, because I have assets. I now have a child, and I'm one of
You
those people
do.
that hasn't done a will because I
Get
always
it
think
done,
this is not,
Cullen.
I'm going to be 95 when I go. I'm not going to think about it, but touch wood, you never know. Could be
Look,
tomorrow.
we never
Could be next
know.
year.
And that's the thing, like, we never know. And that is exactly what I say. I'm like, guys, just, it is on the bottom of everyone's to-do list. I get it. But something is better than nothing, I always say. Like, maybe it's, they're having struggles deciding on who the guardian is for the children. Difficult, very difficult conversation, one that you're going to have with your wife, Cullen. But, at the end of the day, it's better to have somebody appointed than nobody, because the ramifications of that is just awful. You're in the court and you don't want to be there.
You don't want to be in the court or put everyone. I always say, and I've seen it happen, like money and assets change people when someone goes, and you don't want it to be messy.
Exactly right.
The mask slips, people's real side comes out. So why not have a watertight will in there, so it leaves no stone unturned. But I'd love to ask you, you have a will and you pass away. What instances can it be contested? Because I hear that like, is a will even worth it? Because people fight over it anyway.
Yeah. Well, exactly right. So there's two kinds of ways people can challenge a will. One is the form of the will. So sometimes that's under usually what we call like a challenge to the actual will. So they, a person might not know and understand the contents of the will, but they still sign it. So that could be challenged because they don't actually know what they're signing. So there could be issues with complexity of the document if that person doesn't actually know what the document means. So that's what we call knowledge and approval. So we all need to know and approve the contents of our will. So it can be challenged that way. It could be challenged by duress. A husband might say to a wife, sign here or else, and that is I know, an old fashioned reference, but hey, we've got to use it. But that's known as duress, and it does still happen. There's also fraudulent wills where somebody's literally signed on behalf of somebody else and forged their signature. So those kinds of challenges are under I want to call them, challenging the actual will. Then there's another kind of challenge where it's called a family provision claim, where a class of eligible people can come along and say, you didn't provide for me in your will, you should have, and I want some. So that's a provision claim. And in every state of Australia, there are particular people that actually have the right to make that claim. And it's a little bit different per state and per jurisdiction. But generally speaking, they're your two main areas where you can challenge a will.
Good to know. And we've got a lot of people joining on Instagram Live and whatnot and watching, so it's very useful. And just going back to your previous point, Lara Wentworth has said your speech at the award ceremony was the best speech ever. Lara Wentworth from Coaching Advocates. What a legend.
Thank you, Lara. What a legend. I love hearing that feedback. I did swear a lot, so my apologies.
Oh, there you go. Well, thank you for not swearing on this platform, because what I found is LinkedIn is actually
I did, and I apologize. It said once.
No, that's okay. But someone told me with LinkedIn Live, when you get approved to do it, if you swear too much, because that translates the captions, you'll get you'll get put in LinkedIn jail, and they'll say yours is it'll be like an Eminem CD, explicit advisory. I'll have to put a sign on it every time. But live YOLO. Beep, 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 beep. That's it. This is live. This is not radio where you get the 2 minutes to delete everything, Carl and Jackie O style. But another love of yours is fashion, darling. Tell us a little bit about your fashion journey and why you post outfits that you're wearing to live your best life, to give others inspiration.
OOTD is where it's at. Outfit of the day. Like, come on, people. Get your outfit content on. I have always loved fashion. Ever since I was little, my mum would say, you just went into the wardrobe and you just chose some random things, but you just knew exactly what you wanted to wear that day. And so I think for me, I saw this really great reel recently about the difference between fashion and style. And it said, fashion, you can be fashionable. You can buy being fashionable, but style takes courage. And I think for me, when you've got style, you really are in touch with who you are, and you want to express yourself by how you look. And I really love feeling confident in who I am, and whoever I'm meeting in the day, I want to look and feel my best. And for me, I've been able to express myself through fashion, and I absolutely love it. And I just think, when you take those moments and you actually consider what to wear and how you want to look for that day and who you're going to be in front of, it just filters through the rest of your life. And for me, it's a hobby. I mean, I love shopping, but it's a hobby too. So I absolutely love it. And I mean, Cullen, you're a fashionista yourself, so OOTD. I'm looking forward to all those hashtags that come my way.
No, you do it so well. And I think someone once told me that dressing well is a form of good manners, right?
It is. It
And,
absolutely is. Show up.
and people say, we like to think that we're not judgmental creatures, but we are. And
We are.
like well, I think Athel Opus, who's a barrister in Canberra, he used to be a tailor. I'm sorry, Athel, if I'm telling your story, but I love it. The thing he'd say to people is, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So there you go. So
it's so
live
true.
your best life. I love your work, and I love that, Claire. So where can people find Outfit of the Day? Is it on your Instagram page?
Yes, on the Instagram. So I will post always on my personal account, which is open for everyone. It's Claire Styles Design Your Life. The other page for See Legal & Co, I'll also post my outfit of the day on See Legal & Co. And then my podcast page is Life After the Big D. So got a few accounts going, which is exciting.
All real, no bots. There you go. So be sure
all me.
So obviously we got Life After the Big D. So get on that, and also we've got your the See Legal, and we got Claire Styles Design Your Life. So get on that too, guys. Very cool, very cool. And any passion projects you're open to sharing with us that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so obviously the big one is the podcast. So that's quite a big passion project of mine. But on the back of that, I'm also starting a book. So that's another project.
Is this a fiction, non-fiction memoir, or tell us a little bit more?
It's going to be very flow on from the podcast. So it's all going to be kind of memoir / self-development, and it's probably going to be called Life After the Big D, to be honest.
I love that. I had no idea what that term meant, so I had to get you to translate it because it was quite cryptic. But it's a purple cow. People
everyone
are like,
looks at me and takes a minute, and I know where everyone's gone with it. I know everyone's minds. Come on, not silly here. Someone loves a little bit of juicy marketing, and so absolutely. I've had a little play on words, and everyone loves it so far. So
no, I think it's great. And there's a tribe there of people that have gone through what you've gone through, and so it is much needed. And I think when we were talking, you said, initially I thought no one would listen to my story, but then when you share it, people are like, oh my God, that's a great idea. It's like, oh, what I have gone through does have value, and what I do does give people inspiration. So why not share it?
Exactly. And I think that's something that everyone's story has meaning, and I think when we are able to really, I think, have that revelation that what we've been through means something, then everyone's story is valuable. And if you do find yourself in a position where you can be vulnerable to people that you trust, or if not me going public, and it's going to be fun times for me, but I think it's a really important part of growth as a person, and also it helps society grow and be more open and vulnerable as well.
No, absolutely. I'm endeared by what you're saying, and I think the example that you set may inspire another person to go and do the same thing. I can see Claire doing it. Why not me?
Exactly right. There's nothing to lose in life. There's nothing to lose. Maybe a little bit of money if you make a bad investment, maybe a little bit of ego if, that gets shot. But, if you're still alive and you've got your mental health, and you're living a good, healthy life, there's nothing to lose. So go for it.
I think I'm really resonating with what you're saying. I think Rudyard Kipling said, if you can, risk all your fortune on one game of pitch and toss, lose, and then start again at your beginnings, and don't breathe a word of your loss. Basically, that's a great way to live, because it's like, what? It doesn't matter that I fell. I'm going to get up and do it all again.
Just keep
and
on
rise.
getting up.
Keep on keeping on. I love
Keep
it.
on keeping
on. Now, you can be as polarizing as you want to. Put that preface in there. What would you like to see change in the law right now?
I really still feel like there's a lot of growth in the way lawyers communicate with each other. So I think we still have a long way to go with, really highlighting kindness and empathy and understanding when we are working with, difficult situations for our clients, but coming to a place where we can be more kind towards each other as just a general, lawyer life, I think, because it can get intense. And there's a lot of lawyers still out there that, they don't practice from a place of kindness. And when you're on the other side of that, it's not easy. It doesn't make that negotiation easy. Not I'm saying it has to be easy, but I think there's ways that we could improve on coming from a place of that kindness and empathy and understanding. So I think that there's that. I think workplace culture still has a long way to go, especially in the bigger firms where there still are very traditional models happening. I think there's still an environment of workplace, culture that doesn't fit where we are at as a society. I do feel like lawyers' mental health is still a big one as well, where I would love to see more change there, more open discussions, again, more empathy, because the work that we do is high stress. And I think, I think we're the one or second highest profession with the most alcohol and abuse substance still. Like, why is that? And I think, the more that we can all be open and sharing those stories or our experiences or our feelings with each other, the more help and support that could be offered to people that are struggling. And I just think that there still is quite a big stigma around that. And that, to me, I would like to see more. I'd like to see more change in those areas. So I still think it is really internal, where I see a lot of the change that can happen. And I think it starts from people being in the right places, talking to the right people, to be able to deal with the stress of the workload.
Yeah, agreed. And there is pressures from all sides. And I remember when we started our business, I think the LSJ and the Law Society put on a great shine the light on mental health and substance abuse and alcohol. And I think there's the more we talk about it, and one of the lawyers in there said, do we need to stigmatize it or destigmatize these things? I'd love to ask you, that's quite a lawyer question. Do we need to stigmatize it or destigmatize it?
Oh my gosh, I feel like that's a bit too lawyer for me, Cullen.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, come on, trust a lawyer to ask that question.
I feel like that's resonating with me. I don't know why, but it is.
Nah, good answer. Good answer. And obviously you've lived a fantastic life so far and learnt many things along the way. What would you like to pass on to the younger generation of lawyers and professionals watching right now, starting their career?
First and foremost, I think if you're not happy with where you're at, take a moment of reflection to think about why you're not happy, and don't stay in a job just because you think you need that on your resume. I think it's really important to know that there are many opportunities in the law, and you may just not have found your spot yet. And I think don't be afraid to talk to recruiters if you're feeling like where you're at, you're a bit stuck. So I think that would be some advice that I would have liked to have heard for myself. And yeah, I do think the other thing I would say is think about what you want your day-to-day life to look like, and look for opportunities that work with the kind of life you want to live. Because I got sucked into climbing the corporate ladder, and I got sucked into the 12, 14-hour days, and I got sucked into all these things because that's just what's expected. And I think I don't think it's like that anymore. I think I think you can take a stand at an earlier age or earlier wherever you are in your career. So I do think there's that level of just bit of reflection. Think about how you want to live your life. If you're not happy in your current role, think about why. Can you make any change in that current role? If not, maybe look for other opportunities and don't feel so tied to something just because you're in a job. I think
Good point.
there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's so many different avenues and pathways for lawyers. I think people often will go in-house. They'll do so many different things that is just on offer these days. And I think really reflect on what you want what you want your life to look like as a lawyer.
Well said. Well said. And a nice way to finish talking about wills and estates planning. When all is said and done for you, Claire Stiles, how would you like to be remembered?
I think I'd love to be remembered as somebody who did inspire and who had to make change when needed, and just a warm, loving and fun daughter, auntie, sister to all my family, and a very loyal friend. So I think for me that would be a beautiful way and legacy of how I would like to be remembered.
And I think you're doing all those things. So you're a shining star, Claire. And thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks, Cullen. Thanks for having me. I loved every minute of it.
My pleasure. And before we bring you back for bonus questions, where can people find you? Where are you hanging out the most at the moment?
Oh, in person?
In person and online.
Oh, online. Well, online LinkedIn. I'm, all over LinkedIn at the moment, and Instagram. So those two at the moment are probably the biggest things. I need to really get into the TikTok. I see your TikToks, Cullen. You inspire me. I've got to get on it. I just find it really hard. So anyone out there who's, I'm going to get some tips off you, but some other people, I need help with TikTok. And then the other places is, well, my office is 65 York Street. So, coffee at Sammy Junior's across the road is one popular spot that I go to, and anywhere in the city, really. I was all over the shop this morning at meetings and always open for a cup of coffee. So that's where you can find me in person as well.
Sammy Junior's fantastic, 65 York Street, and LinkedIn, Instagram, and watch out not only with the podcast, a TikTok extraordinaire coming soon with Claire Stiles as well.
Thanks, Cullen.
Thanks, Claire. We'll bring you back in just a moment. And if you're a legend of law and would like to be on the show, or someone who is, feel free to get in contact. Thank you for watching or rewatching. If you're watching it again, we come out every Wednesday and talk to a legend of law, and we'll upload this podcast. We've got a big bulk of podcasts and backlog to get onto wherever you consume it, Apple, Amazon, and Spotify. So thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Bringing you back, Claire, 2 bonus questions I've got for you. If you could explain your role to a 6-year-old child, how would you go about doing that?
That's a tough one, Cullen.
It
but
is.
I think I would have to say something along the lines, and I'm envisioning my 2 nieces who are 6. And I would be saying, well, we as adults have a rule book that we have to live by. And I help those adults live by that rule book.
Perfect. It's usually the adults who get it wrong, and you're trying to get it on the straight and narrow, right? This is the rules.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And
Absolutely.
I'm sure from there they'll have many questions, because it's very hard to articulate what we do to a child, because I have tried doing it before.
I think you've done it brilliantly. So well done. Superb effort. And if you could go back and give Claire Stiles advice at any age, what age would you go back and visit yourself? And what would the advice be that you'd give yourself?
Oh, probably like early 20s.
Yep.
And I probably would say to myself, trust your intuition, because it's always right.
Ooh. So trust that feeling in your gut, that psychic pain between your shoulder blades.
Yes.
Claire's always right in that respect.
Literally, like if you're not feeling good about something, if your stomach's a little bit, uneasy, listen to it.
Trust the gut. Is that about people or things or places? Have you had it about all 3
everything
in your lifetime?
Absolutely everything. It's just learning to trust yourself, and that takes time, because you can make so many decisions on emotions, but sometimes I think when you truly sit back and you know who you are, then yeah, trust yourself and trust your intuition, because it's not gonna, it's always gonna lead you to where you should be.
Very, very nice note to end it. Trust your gut, trust your intuition, and trust yourself. Thank you so much again, Claire, and bye for now, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.